Hello, Instagram, and good morning, Facebook. We're live for coffee and questions. We're doing some good social distancing, and coffee and questions is happening from home. So I'll wait for a couple of people to jump online. Here we go. Hello. Hello, Carly. Hello, Lisa. Hello, healthy body, mind. Healthy body, healthy mind. Healthy body, healthy mind. Sorry. That's a tongue twister. I've had a whole heap of Instagram accounts follow me lately that are Corona related. Hey, Carly. Hello, Lisa. So it's like just hacks around what to do when you've got no food in the house and stuff like that, which is, I think, is pretty interesting. So I'm definitely not going to talk about coronavirus much today. I think there's enough crap on the internet, and I'm trying to sort of stay. Hello, Mum. How you going? I'm trying to stay away from that as much as possible and stay happy and stay grounded. So we're not going to touch on Corona today, but I guess all I wanted to say was now more than ever is the opportunity and the time to be eating well and eating properly. So hilariously, there's still heaps of fresh food available in the supermarkets. It's the canned stuff and frozen things that are all disappearing quickly. So like if you're able to, definitely continue to eat fresh whole foods and get all your vitamins and minerals, because that's what's going to help your immune system most. The other thing you could do is just focus on good gut health as well, because around 70% of our immunity comes from our gut. So look at all your pro and prebiotic foods and make sure that you're including things like that each day. So just a couple of things off the top of my head is yogurt. That's got good bacteria in it, some kimchi, any of those fermented foods. So making sure you are including that, plus lots of fresh gut-loving fibre. Hello, Bridget. And vitamins and minerals. So definitely now is the time to bunker down and be eating well. So on that note, I'm actually still planning if we can buy ingredients, if there's anything left in the shops. We're doing a big cook up on Sunday to expand the recipe database. So there's 10 to 12 recipes that are going to be added, which is good. So if you've got any suggestions of recipes or things that you're looking for, please just shout, and I'm more than happy to develop dietitian approved recipes around them and then add them to the database. So we've got some cool things on the menu, like we're going to do a salmon stir fry, which is something we eat in our house pretty much once a week. It's really quick and easy and delicious. We're also going to do like a grilled lamb backstrap, sort of couscous Moroccan veggie grilled thing, which is delicious. We also have that quite frequently at home because it takes about 15 minutes to cook. So it's a great sort of weekday option. Then I'm going to add some carb loading options into the database for all of you athletes out there, and then a bunch of other things, a couple of slow cooker meals as well as we head into winter. So I'm really excited to be doing that. We'll be doing some social distancing by cooking in the dietitian approved kitchen. We just need to be able to get some ingredients tomorrow to be able to do that. So fingers crossed. So definitely let me know in the comments if there's any recipes in particular you want me to add to the database. Sweat testing at this point is still going ahead on the 28th. So next Saturday, you can definitely do some social distancing sweat testing. We'll just run you off in 5-minute intervals, and you can go and make sure you're 1.5 meters away from everyone. So that's definitely still happening on the 28th at this stage, unless things change. So I've got a couple more spots left for that if you do want to do it. And it is the last session that I'm going to be running this year. Okay, we're not going to do any more this season. So if you want to do sweat testing, now is your opportunity to do it. So give me a holler if you want to lock in for that, because this is your last opportunity. I'm not doing it again. And, you know, we may all be in lockdown in 2 weeks' time. So if you want some fresh air and figure out what your sweat rate is, then we'll do that on the 28th. And the last thing is clinic is still open at this point on Saturdays, but if you are more comfortable doing like a phone or a Skype consult instead, I'm more than happy to swap you to those. I did a bunch of phone consults yesterday, and yeah, super easy. Can do just as many things in a sort of telehealth consultation. The only thing I can't do is skin folds, obviously, but that's okay because we're meant to be social distancing anyway. But definitely that the clinic is still open at this point. And if you want to wait outside for your consult, that's totally fine. The waiting area is massive, so you can definitely, you're not sort of sitting on people while you're waiting. And then our clinic consult room is quite large as well, so you could definitely sit 2 meters apart and still be okay. But if you wanted to switch to a phone or a Skype consult, that's totally fine with us. All right, I think that's enough corona madness. I think, I don't really want to spend too much time talking about that because there's enough stuff on the internet to fill the bandwave. So let's try and be a bit more happy and a bit more positive, and try and share the love. All right, hello Jules, welcome. I think everyone's working from home, so I'm kind of expecting a whole heap of people to be online today, which will be fun. All right, I have a heap of questions today and some really good ones. A lot from Jo, who has either just raced or must be racing soon because she's looking at some advice around her race nutrition. And then a couple from some other clients as well, which is really good. And no spam. Yoo-hoo! So I don't know, the spammers must be down with corona, but I definitely didn't get any spam comments this week. So that's good. So let's get straight into it. So the first question, we'll run through Jo's questions first, I think, although I can't see her online yet, but I'm sure she'll be here soon. All right, so Jo wants to know how many grams of protein to consume in a meal to gain muscle. So really timely, because we put this on the quiz on Wednesday, actually, is how much protein you need in a meal. Hello, Mandy, and hello, Eating with Annalise. So the correct answer on Wednesday for how much protein you need in a meal, if we're talking about maximally stimulating muscle protein synthesis and trying to not waste any as well, is 20 to 30 grams. So you actually need more than that if you're more of a masters athlete. You need more, about 40 grams. If you are, masters, we get a bit of protein resistance as we get older, so we don't absorb it as well as when we're younger, unfortunately. It's just one of those things with aging. So you need more like 40 grams in a meal, but for the rest of us, it's 20 to 30, and that's going to maximally stimulate muscle protein building without having any wasted. So our protein requirements, I've got my handy little cup here. Our protein requirements are like a cup. So we want to fill that cup at regular intervals across the day. So 20 to 30 gram hits. Anything under, and we're kind of underdoing it, we're not doing the best job we could be. And then anything over, we actually do just, it spills out and we waste it, and it's excreted through our kidneys and we break it down for energy. So the ideal for maximal protein muscle stimulus building is 20 to 30 grams. And then your overall protein needs across the day are based on how big you are and what sort of exercise you're doing. So yeah, it really just depends, total load, who you are and what you're doing and what your sport is. But our protein needs don't fluctuate too much, in the range of 1 to 2 grams per kilo is the range. So not too great, but it's trying to drip feed protein at regular intervals across the day to maximally put on muscle tissue or build strength. So hopefully that one answers that for you, Jo. And that was, basically the answer to our quiz on Wednesday. The other thing Jo wants to know is, what's the window of time to consume protein for recovery? Jo, I swear we've gone through this. So the ultimate sort of recovery window, if we're talking about exercise, so Jo's a runner, got a bit of inside knowledge into what Jo's doing. She's a triathlete / doing a running event coming up. So there's a window of opportunity to get your recovery nutrition in, and it's sort of within an hour post exercise. Now that's because all of our hormones and our enzymes peak at about an hour after exercise, and then they kind of go down. So we want to try and meet that peak with the building blocks of nutrition. So if that peaks at an hour, then we want to get the building blocks in well before that. So we want to make sure that we're eating sort of ideally within half an hour after exercise, so that that food can digest and break down, and those building blocks are there ready to be used by all the hormones and enzymes and stuff for recovery. So if we're talking about getting in protein after, then I'd be trying to get some in, 20 to 30 grams within sort of 30 minutes after exercise. Now, form, it would just depend. So something like a liquid protein form, it's obviously going to digest and break down much faster than if you ate a big steak. So with a smoothie, you might be able to push it out to more like 45 minutes, 30 to 45, and a big steak, then definitely getting that in earlier, because that's going to take a long time to break down and digest and have those amino acids building blocks there ready to help with your recovery. So the next question, which I've just answered, is how much to consume. So 20 to 30 grams is that sweet spot. A little bit more is fine, and that's okay. Excuse me, particularly if you're an older athlete. But yeah, 20 to 30 grams is that sweet spot within half an hour. I need you online, Joe, so that you can hear the answers to your questions. Joe, where are you? All right, and then Joe's last question is what vegetables are best to snack on for recovery? Well, I guess depends what you're trying to do with that. But if you're trying to stop eating the house down, Joe's here. Hey, Joe. I'm almost at the end of your questions, Joe. You'll have to go back and watch the replay. But we're up to your last question, Joe. All right, my internet, what's going on? Let's turn the internet back on. We've just paused, but we're back. All right. So what vegetables are best to snack on for recovery? Okay, so yeah, depends what we're looking at, depends what you're trying to do for that. There's like no better vegetable than others in terms of snacking on for recovery. If you're trying to snack on vegetables to prevent the hunger monster, then potentially you needed to eat more earlier. Otherwise, the more variety and colours and stuff you have, the better. So I would suggest that in that recovery window for the next sort of 24 to 48 hours, while your protein, like while your muscles are still trying to recover and repair, is that you actually drip feed protein. And you could do that by having regular meals and snacks that include that 20 to 30 gram protein hit, and then putting some good color in there as well. So more like lots of variety of salads and veggies. And if you find that you're doing that and you're still hungry, then you might need to be snacking on things that fill you up more, or increasing the size of your meals, or drinking more water, or just having a sleep. Sometimes when we're starving like that, you just need to have a sleep. Hello, Catherine. Welcome. Catherine, are you on Instagram and Facebook? Are you on both methods? How's that going for you? All right, so sorry, hopefully that answers your question, Joe. If there's any more context you want to give me around it, let me know. But I guess there's no like magic vegetable that you should have in the recovery. Just the more variety of colors you have, the better. And then if you're trying to use it to fill up, then maybe do something you've got to chew on, like carrots or even like apples that take a bit longer to chew and can fill you up a bit more. All right, next question comes from Jody, who wants to know about whether it's easier to type comments on Facebook. Okay, good job. You can harass me on Facebook. That sounds amazing, Catherine. All right, so yeah, Jody wants to know whether you put calories or hydration separate or mixed. So I'm assuming Jody's a triathlete. I'm assuming she's talking about, water bottles on the bike. So Jody, if you're here, sing out and let me know if that's what you mean or not, but I'm assuming that that's what you mean. And so in terms of calories, you're also kind of referring to carbohydrates. So I guess to summarize that question in the way that I think you're asking it is whether you put all of your nutrition in one thing, like all of your sports drink or whatever, or you just have water and then eat your calories or carbohydrate or fuel. So I think that's what you're asking. And so the answer is really whatever works best for you. And we can talk about that when we catch up next. So there's a couple of like brands like Infinite around that their model is putting everything in one bottle. So carbs, caffeine, protein even, hey Sheena, in one bottle, and then just running that. And that's totally fine as long as you're using a product that is what you need for your event. So they do customize things, but I'd be trying to work with a sports dietitian to work out what your custom blend should actually be, rather than being guided by a supplement company around what they think you should use, because they make money off you for whatever product you buy. Depends what your event is, whether you run all of your hydration and calories and stuff together. The only thing I would say on that is that you should definitely always have just plain water. You should never go out for any sort of training session or any race and not have water with you, because if you get into any gut issues, or you need to rinse your face or rinse your mouth or whatever happens, you're going to need water to do that. Because if you have all of your concentrated solution in one bottle, and you stop digesting it because you haven't done a good job of gut training, then water's the only thing that's going to fix that. Hello, Fitstop Ashgrove. Welcome to Coffee and Questions. Hilarious. Okay, so I think I'll talk to you about that separately, Jodie, when we catch up and work out what your race nutrition plan is, just because it's so individualized, depending on what your race is and what products you're using and what you're doing. I would just err on the side of caution of having everything in one bottle, because it's a bit of a risk. So I would always have hydration, like as in water, separate, and not just run purely sports drink. I would always have something separate. And then the other thing is, depends on how long your event is. So if you've got a really long event, you might want to eat something. You might be somebody that gets particularly hungry, so you might want solid food. So you might want to take some bars or some energy balls or some gels or something with you, so that you've got the option of both, because it's also good to be a bit flexible with your plan. All right, so Temple Dietitian, I'm doing a little late, but other questions on one topic? No, they're not. Ask away, anything. We've kind of got a protein theme today, thanks to Joe's 4 questions on protein, and a bit of race nutrition, and then we'll get to the last question, which is totally unrelated. So definitely no theme today. Ask away, whatever you want to know. How's the tea drinking going? It is not. That was my last cup of tea, Catherine. I don't know why I went there. It's definitely on the coffee. I'm not a fan of tea. Okay. Oh yeah, Joe said you're welcome for all of the protein related questions. They were good, Joe. So I might actually do some sort of recovery nutrition module or video just to help answer all those questions, if you all have those questions around protein and how much you need, because I learnt from the quiz on Wednesday that people don't have any idea how much protein they need. So I might need to do a bit of extra education around that. All right, so the last question is from my client Taryn. Her name is also Taryn, spelt the same way. What a legend. I haven't seen her online yet today, actually, but she can watch back the replay. So Taryn's question is actually on label reading, which, timely enough, I've just filmed a module on how to read labels. So that will be coming out. I haven't kind of announced what's going on yet, but I've been trying to work really hard in the background to get some more education happening online for you. About how to read a label and what you're actually looking for. So as part of that, there's going to be guidelines on like how much sugar is like a kind of rough target, how much like protein or fiber or salt or any of those sorts of things, and how to actually read a label. So I think they're really easy, but you just need a bit of education around how to do it and what, I guess, the Australian guidelines are around nutrition information panels and what they have to fit in and have specifically, just because it's government regulated, and also like what health claims means. There's a lot of claims that can mean something specific and it has to sit with certain guidelines, and there's also claims that they can just post on there without having any regulation at all. So that is coming soon. Hopefully by the start of May that will be released, to how to read labels. All right, we've got some questions coming through Instagram. Let me have a look at what they are. Temple Dietitian, how do you treat SIBO? Definitely not my area of expertise. So yeah, I would definitely touch base with a gut health dietitian. I am an endurance sports dietitian, so I've probably had one client with SIBO in my whole 12-year career. So sorry, I'm not the best person to answer that. I can definitely look some stuff up for you and get back to you, but it looks like you're a dietitian yourself, so I'm sure you can also do the same. All right, Joe said, I missed the answers. I'll watch back later. Sorry, Joe, I hit you up early. And then Bevo has said, I eat okay, but when I start doing the kilometers, I just need calories and my good eating drops off. Any idea how to stay on track? That's a really good question. So that's pretty common. Your appetite just ramps up really quickly when you start exercising because it shocks the body. And your appetite one is not a very good indicator of how much you need, particularly after things like swimming. You can just be particularly ravenous after swimming, even though you haven't really burnt that many calories in the pool, just because you are in a temperature controlled environment. So the pool water is different to what your body temperature is, and your body's constantly trying to regulate, and that makes you more starving. Hello, Nigel Bogard. Welcome to Coffee and Questions, Nige. So I think if your exercise and training load increases, you need to match that with nutrition. And so that might mean that you aren't necessarily eating enough to support your training load when it increases, or you're not potentially eating the right things when it increases as well. So if you are eating enough carbohydrate, enough protein to fuel your exercise and recovery, and you're doing all those right things, then maybe to fill yourself up, you might need some more salad and veggies on your plate to actually have like a big volume meal. So if you're starving all the time, probably the answer is that you're not eating enough, and potentially not eating enough around training too, Bevo. So definitely get in touch if you want help specifically with that. But I would suggest that as your training load increases, you need to adapt that relatively quickly with matched nutrition. Because we know that even, I don't know if you're a male or a female, sorry, but we know for females that just 3 days of not eating enough to support their training load is enough to drop their energy availability and drop out of menstrual function. So it's really important to adapt to different training volumes and load really quickly so that you can match what you need, because the consequences are not particularly friendly. The other thing I was going to say on that is that you shouldn't eat the same thing each day. So I bang on about this all the time. You need to be able to learn to scale and periodize your nutrition so that a rest day you eat differently versus a double session training day or a heavy day. And that will help you manage your appetite across the week as well, and just make sure that you're getting everything that you need when you need it, rather than not eating enough on big days and then trying to play catch up on rest days and you're starving and hungry all the time. And that's when you kind of reach for crap and look for junk food as a pick-me-up because you're tired and you haven't done a good job of your nutrition where you needed it. All right, so hello, Aiden the dietitian. What has Catherine said? Why am I 1 billion times more hungry after a swim than what I am after a run or a bike? And I've just answered that. How good am I? We're like on the same wavelength, Catherine. Okay, so don't need to answer that one for you. All right, Fitstop Ashgrove, who are you? Are you Kelly? Are you Marson? Are you Billy? Who are you? Any ideas on nutrition being pretty good? Any ideas on nutrition being pretty good, but stress and sleep not great, and then in turn performance in gym not great? Hang on. I'm a little bit retarded. Hello, Kelly. What's your question? Can you give me that question again? Stress and sleep not great. I think I need some punctuation. I'm a little bit retarded when I read stuff back. So if your nutrition's good, that's good. Stress, I have a pretty good understanding why you're probably feeling a bit stressed at the moment, Kel, with the corona craziness. And then obviously if you're not sleeping properly, sleep is your ultimate form of recovery. trumps everything else, like stretching, nutrition. Sleep is the ultimate. So if you're not sleeping great, you're obviously not going to feel great. Any magic potions to help me perform well? No, Kel, sorry. Sleep is pivotal. So whatever you're doing at the moment, you need to get to bed earlier. I know you get up at like stupid o'clock, like 3:30, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock a.m. So however many hours you're sleeping at the moment, try and increase it by 1. And then once you've got that, yeah, damn it, no magic pills, sorry, Cal. Try and get to bed 1 hour earlier than you have previously. And once you're doing a good job of that, try and increase it to 2. Because you get up at 4 or you get 4 hours sleep. This is so fun. Coffee and questions is the best, especially because my coffee's starting to kick in. Oh, we've got questions pouring in. You get 4 hours sleep, Kelly. Okay, so we need more like 7 to 10 hours sleep a night. Okay, there's so much research on sleep, and the people that are like, yeah, I can survive on 5 hours and be totally fine, like, I don't care. Sleep is so good for weight management. It's so good for training. It's so good for your overall health and immunity. So if you're getting 4 hours, you need to get 5, and that's your goal for the next week. Once you're getting 5 consistently, you need to get 6. Once you're getting 6 consistently, you need to get 7. But like, you need to have an understanding of how many an hour a night sleeper you are. So I know that I'm a 9-hour sleeper. Sucks, because there's not that many hours in the day. But I don't feel good on 8. Like, I get run down on 8 hours sleep. Not good for productivity in life. But I know that about myself, so I prioritize sleep over everything, because it's fundamental to everything. It's also fundamental to making good nutrition choices. Like, if you're tired, you crave sugar as a pick-me-up, and so you're more likely to make a choice like that for food, when really you just need to have a nap. So obviously you're not going to be training well in the gym, Kel, if you're sleeping for 4 hours and you're stressed. So maybe you need to, 1, get to sleep a bit earlier. That will help. And if nutrition is good, that's great. So keep that up. And then I guess try and do some activities or things for yourself that help reduce your stress too. Like, I totally understand why everyone's a bit stressed at the moment, but we need to focus on ourselves. Like, we need to look after each other and focus on our health, because that's all we've got at the moment. Like, if you're tired and stressed and run down, your immunity is down, and so you're more likely to get sick. You're more likely to get COVID. So you need to go to bed earlier, Kel. So maybe try setting an alarm on your phone. That, I can't show me my phone because it's here. It does. Set an alarm on your phone at whatever time you need to go to bed. Set it for half an hour before that or an hour before that, and the alarm is like, start winding down. So whatever you're doing, you need to stop doing, and you need to get your shit together and go and have a shower and get into bed. And even if you're reading a book or something, just to help yourself wind down and distract yourself from the stresses of currently. But yeah, definitely get to bed earlier. There's no magic pills or potions, I'm sorry. You just need to do a bit of self-love. All right. I've got a million other questions back here. Let me have a quick look at them. Heard from several sports dietitians that chocolate milk is good post-workout if extended period of time until next meal. Thoughts? Good question. So chocolate milk is often, I guess, suggested as a really good recovery beverage because it contains protein, it contains carbohydrate, it contains fluid, and it contains electrolytes and vitamins and minerals, particularly calcium. So it ticks all those 4 boxes for recovery nutrition that we're trying to hit. So it's a good option if you can't get to food quickly. It ticks all those recovery boxes for you. Without having to get to a solid meal. So yes, go for it. The only thing I would say that if you're trying to manage body composition or weight, then there are probably healthier options or lower calorie options than chocolate milk. And there's plenty of other things you could do instead of chocolate milk. But if like you need all the calories you can get, or that's all available, then that's definitely a good choice because it does tick those 4 R's of recovery. So repair, protein, refuel, carbohydrate, rehydrate, it's got fluid in it, and revitalize, it's got your electrolytes in it. So definitely vote for chocolate milk, but there are other options that are potentially healthier options if you have the choice. Okay, Joe has also asked, and I've had this question from a million people, Performance, one of the really good sports nutrition brands that's based here in Melbourne, is closing down. So any gel recommendations now that they're closing down? So I'm going to do a whole separate session or something on that because I've had that question from a million people. So why I quite like that product is because they have a good glucose to fructose ratio, which is good for endurance events and triathletes who I work with quite heavily, and they're really cheap. They often have sales for like $1 gel, so really cost effective. They've got a good business model. They're trying to just cut through all the crap of the supplement industry and not sell gels for like $6 like some companies. Which is potentially why they're closing down. I'm not sure why they're closing down, but they probably just needed to increase their prices. So I'll do a session on that because there's a few other products on the market that are fine. So I'll put that together for everyone because I've had that question from lots and lots of people, Joe. All right, what else have we got here? The Jiu-Jitsu dietitian said, thank you, you're welcome. Does that mean that you're going to drink a whole heap of chocolate milk now? All right, Catherine, you're going nuts over here on Facebook. What have you said to me? How do I get 9 hours sleep with a child? Yep. Again, priorities. Whatever you prioritize, you'll do. So for me, obviously, priorities are nutrition. So we eat really well. Even in COVID-19 crisis, we're eating quite well currently. And yeah, getting enough sleep. I just prioritize going to bed early, and if I've got work to do or something, then it just gets done the next day because I don't function on less than that, and then the whole next day is a write-off. So whatever you prioritize in your life, you will do and you'll focus on. So if that's something that you want to shift and change, Catherine, then it's just about like putting some plans in place to implement that. All right, another question from Catherine. If you're doing more strength training in this recently established new off-season, is staying on my off-season nutrition plan okay? No. Or with increased strength, should I increase protein, carbs? This is the new world for me. Yeah. So I guess with all of the racing and events cancelled for the foreseeable future, the next few months at least, everyone's in this boat, right? So I just want to preface this by saying it is the perfect opportunity to knuckle down and do some training. It's 100% disappointing. Like Tokyo potentially may get cancelled, which for my elite athletes is just devastating. So you need to think about like how that's affecting others as well. But you have to take the positives, and it's the perfect opportunity to do a solid training block. You've got no distractions by races, by travel, by breaking your training rhythm with tapering and racing and recovery. You can do a solid training block through this next few months and come out of it fitter and faster and stronger. So take that as a positive. And if it's a good opportunity to do some more strength training, Catherine, or anyone out there, then definitely do it. So if you go from not doing strength to doing strength, your protein requirements do increase a little bit, especially if it's new and it's a shock to the system. So kind of like how we started in the very beginning, we're trying to drip feed protein right across the day. So 20 to 30 grams regularly for meals and even snacks if your strength program goes up significantly. And then in terms of off-season nutrition plan, I don't remember what's in your plan now. It was so long ago, but potentially maybe, as long as your protein distribution is good, which if I wrote it's going to be good anyway. It's a shameless plug of my awesome meal plans. And then I guess it's your overall carbohydrate load. That would just depend on what other training you're doing, Catherine. So like you're probably still running, you're probably still riding. Like there's no reason why you can't be doing that. It's just more strength-based stuff. And I assume you're doing that at home because gyms are probably one of the highest risk places for catching COVID-19. They've been closed in Melbourne and a lot of other places. For that reason, because it's potentially surface contamination. That's like the highest risk for contracting it. So I would be doing that at home. Yes, you wrote it. Yes, I wrote it. Yeah, I wrote your meal plan. It's awesome. And I'll answer your pure gels question when we do the gel performance alternative question. Carly said it's time to get strong. Yes, it is. I don't have any muscles. I need to get in the pool. Yeah, so I'd have to look at your plan to answer your question specifically, Catherine. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if it's matched for strength or not. It would, I can't remember. Too long ago, don't remember. And Carly, I hear that you started training with Building Elite, which is awesome. So time to definitely get strong. So if anybody's starting new gym programs or starting new training routines, probably time to shake up your nutrition and do something differently to maximally support that. So I think, yeah, now, well, my focus now, and for all my athletes, the focus is on getting a strong training block in and coming out of this like fitter and faster. So a lot of people have had like Port Mac and Cairns cancelled. So they will do a 70.3 and an Ironman. It just may not be in the next few months. So I would suggest that you use this to get a solid 70.3 or Ironman training block in. Like you don't have the stress of having to race really quickly now. So you become a better athlete, you become fitter and faster and better at your sport, the more training you can absorb. And if we're not interrupted and distracted by things going on, then you could definitely knuckle down and do some solid training. And also use it as an opportunity to practice your race nutrition. So I've got a couple of people that are kind of semi-injured or have a few niggles heading into port, or somebody's got glandular fever, which is not great. So it's a perfect opportunity to just like stop what you're doing, reset, focus on getting your body right and perfect, train hard and rebuild into the end of the year or into next year whenever events get put back on again. So as disappointing as it is, I think we need to just, focus on the positives and come out of this like better. So focus on your nutrition. Like now's the perfect opportunity to be, if you're stuck at home, like try new recipes, try tweaking new things in your diet, trying to eat like fresh whole foods as much as you possibly can. There's no magic pill or supplement or anything you need to take. Just look after your health. And most of that comes from your gut. So nutrition is going to be key right now. So if you've got more time to do like batch cooking and meal prep and things, like get your shit together, get organized, and really focus on your health. Kel said, this is so awesome, and she's got to run. But see you, Kel. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next Friday. It's been good having you. Go get some sleep, Kel. 5 hours tonight for the next week. All right, any more questions? Because this is a 37-minute coffee and questions now, which is pretty good. Oh, there's more questions. I just scrolled down. Catherine, you're nuts. Okay. What are you doing? So you're doing ride, wind trainers and run, treadmill plus strength at home. Pretty much solid chance to build my run right now. Yeah, exactly. Use this as an opportunity to build all those little muscles, get your feet right, come out of this stronger. And uni's all online now. Yes. So no distractions. So you get more time to study. That's perfect. So yeah, like there's so much positives to take out of it. Like we need to focus on the positives, not think about all the negatives and things we can't do. There are people way worse in the world currently, and we're doing okay so far. All the panic buys have messed up my ability to batch cook. Not happy. Yeah, I know. People need to stop panic buying. It's not the apocalypse. We're okay. All I can say on that is that there is heaps of fresh food in the shop. So we only do a shop once a week for all our fresh stuff. Usually get it from the markets because it lasts longer and it lasts through the week. And then I'm building some meal planning and some weekly menu plans into one of the services, which could actually be perfect for right now, actually. It just gives you, well, potentially, if we can buy ingredients, it gives you exactly what you need to like shop for to make dinners for the week. And part of the strategy of how I set the week up is that we do stuff in the beginning of the week that's really fresh. So things like fish, that you can freeze, but it's not as good frozen. And then progressing more towards the end of the week in more stuff that lasts or can be frozen. So like, say for instance, we shop on Saturdays, which is tomorrow. Fingers crossed we can go. And then so tonight's dinner is actually tacos because the mince has been in the freezer for the week, and things like carrots last through the week, zucchini lasts through the week, capsicum lasts through the week. So part of the menu planning that I'm going to do to develop is going to teach you some of those skills of how to plan meals based around the logistics of that. Because I don't have time to run to the shops every day, and we're also not going to have the ability to run to the shops every day, I don't think, like within the next week or so. So some of those strategies could be really helpful. So in terms of batch cooking, it's just, I guess, trying to be organized and be prepared and have the skills. Hello, Penny, welcome. Have the skills and I guess some dietitian input into how to do that. So that's coming. I'm going to do a big session planning that out next weekend. So you should be able to see that in the next few weeks, hopefully. That's the plan. So yeah, I'm doing lots in the background at the moment, which you probably have no idea about, which is fine. But yeah, I've got some pretty cool, exciting stuff coming in the next couple of months. I just need some time to do it. All right. Any ideas for breakfast on the go other than smoothies? Depends how mad your skills are at eating in the car, Joe. But anything that's in a container with a spoon could be good. So things like muesli, yogurt, and berries is good. If you kind of want to eat that on the run, like whether you're in the car driving or you're probably not catching public transport currently. So that, like, anything in a container is good. The other thing you could do is batch up like some zucchini slice or some like frittata or breakfast muffins or something like that, which you could eat on the run. And you could also do something like a wrap and eat that on the run. It's just the way that you wrap like the alfoil around the bottom so it doesn't drip everywhere. But if it's like properly on the run, then I'd be packing a container the night before and then just grabbing that with a spoon in your bag and eating on the go. But I would also preface that with saying you shouldn't eat on the go. So another thing that I've recently just filmed is a session on mindful eating and how to do it and what that means. So we want to make sure that we are eating mindfully and not just smashing food mindlessly, because then we haven't kind of registered with eating. And then you can kind of be hungry later on in the day or hungry straight away because you haven't actually noticed that you've just eaten a meal. And yeah, it doesn't kind of hit the spot. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Oh, Joe said, good one, thanks. All right, I haven't finished my coffee, it's cold. All right, so if there's no other questions, just scroll down again. Catherine, you're killing me. Oh, overnight oats are the bomb. There you go, Joe. There's one from Catherine, one of my clients. You could do overnight oats as well. So that would be kind of cold oats. You could also bung it in the microwave for a minute or two before you run out the door as well. So I would make that with whatever you want, really. There's a good carrot cake porridge recipe on the recipe database. It would be delicious. Or we could just do some oats with some milk or something, some high protein yogurt, and then some frozen berries. That's what Catherine does. It's delicious. Try and throw some nuts and seeds in there as well if you can. I'm too busy prioritizing sleep. Hilarious. So good. See, Joe prioritizes sleep, Kel. It's just priorities, right? Like whether nutrition's important for you or exercise or work or whatever you focus on and prioritize, you'll do. So if you need to increase your sleep and you want that to be a priority for you, like now's probably a good time to do it. A lot of people don't have commute time or are going anywhere. So it could be a perfect time to get stuck into some reading in the evenings. And yeah, get yourself to bed early. Try and just shift your bedtime half an hour earlier until you get used to it. And you may lie there for a little bit, just wondering what's going on, looking at the ceiling. But in time, you can kind of adapt to it and get used to it. But we definitely need more sleep than we're getting. So sort of 7 to 10 hours. If you're a younger person, you need more. And if you're a growing body, and then our elite athletes, they are 9, 10, 11-hour sleepers sometimes, like triathletes that do 4 sessions a day, because sleep is number one. It's a big part of being healthy, and a big part of recovery. So definitely need, I just scrolled down again, Catherine. Definitely, everyone needs to get more sleep. Well, I don't know why Facebook's not scrolling down to all of your comments, Catherine, but I need to keep track of it. Oh, so Catherine said for you, Joe, she makes a whole week's worth of oats at once and no issues. That's good. So then it's just done. So I do that with our my kefir bircher muesli. That's also on the recipe database. It's a big container of a homemade bircher muesli with some kefir and some yogurt and stuff, and that goes in the fridge. Generally do it on a Sunday. Top it with some passion fruit. It's delicious, and that lasts the whole week, and we all eat it. All eat that. So that's a really good batch cooking. Well, it's not even cooking. It's like throwing stuff in a container and chucking it in the fridge and leaving it. That one is a good one for eating on the run or having breakfast already done, so you don't even have to think about it. All right, so what Piercy Deborah has asked, what do you recommend for a person with have to be on a low-fat diet and reduce carbohydrate starches? That's a deep question, Deborah. So reducing carbohydrate starches. So are we talking about like more refined carbohydrates there? So reducing things like white breads and white rice, and then low fat as well. So Deborah, can you type that question in again for me, or give me some more context and I'll be able to answer it. I think she has to be on a low fat diet. Hopefully you're still there, Deborah. Keep typing. Hello, Barry. So low fat diet is easy, and it's just around choosing certain types of foods and watching your added fats as well. So trying to limit your junk foods. Depending on how low fat we're talking, like we might be controlling amounts of heart issues. Okay, again, Deborah, I'm an endurance sports dietitian, so definitely not my area of expertise. But heart issues, low-fat diet, it's probably not necessarily low fat. It's more around shifting the types of fat. So we want to try to inject healthy fat, so things like avocado, nuts and seeds, olive oil, because they're our monounsaturated fats and they're protective for our heart, and reduce the other saturated types of fat. So like the fats in meats, fats in dairy, junk food fats, like things like deep fried foods, hot chips, chocolate, ice cream, those sorts of things, reducing all of those fats out of our diet, but making sure you are still including the good fats, because they're really important, because they're, one, protective for our heart, and two, they're really important for your cholesterol management, and also just keeping you healthy. And then I'm not sure what the starches question is, but it's potentially, in terms of heart health, we're probably just talking about trying to switch to more whole grain, wholemeal carbohydrates. So choosing wholemeal bread, whole grain bread over white bread, choosing more brown rice over white rice, those sorts of things. You don't need to avoid potato. There's nothing wrong with potato, but include potato, sweet potato and corn as your carbohydrates with meals. And then trying to cut out the more refined carbohydrates. So all the simple sugars that we would usually use in racing. So sports drinks, soft drinks, lollies, those sorts of things, trying to reduce those out of your diet. So it's just general sort of healthy eating principles, really. Lots of fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grain carbohydrates and breads and cereals, throwing in some lentils and legumes. Those are good and protective for your heart as well. And then making sure you're choosing lean meats. So nice lean steaks without the fatty rind on it, or cutting that off, just trying to Also, take the skin off chicken and things like that. Make sure you're including fish. So Deborah's just said he has diabetes as well. Okay, so that's totally a new ball game, and we're just trying to manage the carbohydrate intake to be stable across the day. So we don't want big peaks and troughs in carbohydrate. We want to keep it nice and maintained. So having small amounts of carbohydrate regularly rather than having no carbohydrate, heaps, and then none. Just trying to manage that across the day. So it sounds like you need some dietitian input to go through all of those basics for diabetes and heart health, which Libby can help with on a Saturday in clinic. But yeah, definitely needs probably a bit of advice to help him through that rather than searching for stuff on the internet. All right, if there are no more questions, we might wrap this up. This has been great. Thank you so much for getting on, guys, on a Friday. I'm sure lots of people are working from home at the moment. So we're definitely going to do Fridays from now on. I think it's been way more successful than Monday mornings, just by the number of questions that have come through, which is great. And I guess don't be afraid to reach out if you need anything. Libby's still consulting on Saturdays. I'm doing phone consults on Thursday afternoons at the moment, and we can switch to completely phone Skype consults for a while if we need to. Deborah said thanks. You're welcome. I hope that helps a little bit, but definitely go and get some help, Deborah. You shouldn't sort of muscle through that on your own. There's lots of fundamentals or foundations that you need to implement for heart and diabetes. So definitely get some information and some education. That'll just take the stress away, and he can know exactly what he's doing and have a bit of a plan rather than just trying to wing it. Thank you, Sheena. Sheena said, thank you so much. This is fabulous. See you next time. Thanks for jumping on, Sheena. It's good to have you all here. This is like, maybe this can be our little social distancing community. Everyone jump on a Friday and we can talk. It sounds amazing. So much better being able to talk to people regularly and face to face, but I need to be able to see you guys. That'd be so much better than you just staring at my face the whole time. But yeah, look after each other, make sure you're eating well. I think now is the time to focus on nutrition, 100%. You can still exercise, just do it from home, or do whatever you need to do. Penny wants to know who has toilet paper. The most important question. So we are kind of running low at home, to be honest. So I'm not the person to ask for toilet paper. But I'm sure if you need some, put a call out on the Dietitian Approved Crew Facebook page and see if anybody can help you out. I can definitely give you a roll, but we're down to our last couple. So I might be putting a call out soon for some toilet paper. We're going to go to the shops tomorrow and see if we can find some, even if it's like a 6-pack. But otherwise, you've got tissues, Penny. Or if, you know, like if we get into dire straits, you've got the shower or outside. I don't know. What do you do when you go for a bushwalk? Hey, Nadsy. Hey, cousin. Welcome. We're just about to wrap up. You have to go watch the 40 or 51-minute replay because you've missed a good one. So much so that I didn't even drink my coffee and it's cold. All right. So hopefully that answers your toilet paper question, Penny. But ask around on the Dietitian Approved Crew Facebook group if anybody's got a roll they can lend you. All right, Corona Coffee, haha. Yeah, no, like we're not renaming Coffee and Questions to Corona Coffee. That is a bad idea. Kelvin is joined and he said that he's in isolation. Great to listen and motivates me. Thank you. You're welcome, Kelvin. If we want to do this again, maybe we could do it live in the Dietitian Approved Crew Facebook group, maybe on a Wednesday or something, and just we'll get together and talk to each other because we definitely need to band together at the moment, I think. Focus on nutrition, band together, don't be weird, don't crazy shop, and look after each other. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. It's been so good, and I will see you next Friday.